Here's another quick look inside of a Wharfedale Diamond 9.5. So that's the mid. I've just popped out over there just to give a look over. And it's a sealed mid-range cavity. Decent cross-sectional brace right around, and also this side strengthener applied has a little bit of dampening property to it. And there's that's a piece of the acoustic fluff that's stuffed in there that I've just pulled out to film. So that's it with that acoustic in there, acoustic fluff. That's the level of dampening. But in honesty, that's a fairly resonant cross sealing brace as well. And hear that? That more muddy. That's fairly resonant in my opinion. And that top plate, yeah, quite a lot of resonance. The other thing I've noticed on not just this speaker but others is the actual braces. Sometimes there's gaps in the gluing, so there's a brace there and the gluing's not secure. See, that's right on the brace and it still sounds hollow. And this one, see, the gluing's good across here, across this section the gluing's good. Then you look up there and there's glue missing again. See, glue's good there. Hear the difference in tone. Up here, glue's missing, so you got resonance. So what would I do with this one? Ooh, be nice to re-glue those spots and then put a liquid dampening compound in there, fully, you know, like the pond liner that we get over here from Bunnings, or some sort of very thick compound to just downgrade that resonance, liberate it from resonance. That'll be a beautiful thing to do. And then I would also adhere something to the sides, all the internal sides and behind the front baffle. See, that front baffle, that's a lot of resonance on a front baffle. That's gonna, you know, I mean, we're talking like high fidelity here, so that will step you down from that goal, from that aim. Even though these are great, you know, don't get me wrong, these are a lot of performance, yet because there's more in them, it's like, you know, it's a bit like the human quest. You know, we know growth and things, and, you know, potential, and I don't know, aspirations. So naturally you want to get the best, you want to get the highest out of these as well, I would imagine. So if I've diverted on a tangent there, I apologise. No, I haven't really. It's like that saying, I thought I was wrong but I was mistaken. Anyway, so yeah, so dampening compound, and then also probably, what's best, you can use some of this and actually staple it or glue it to the side panels. I think that's what I would do, either that or an eco-friendly foam, something that feels good to you, that, you know, let the universe speak on that one. But, you know, and I would even shape this, you know, you could, if these are your reference speakers and you want the best out of them, then it's great. This has a curved side, so you can that's great for acoustics and just, you know, aiding with the resonance. I think that's why these are so popular and they sound so good, because of the structural element of the sides. You know, it's a beautiful curve. But you could also build those corners. All the corners, you could actually soften them and round them more with a compound as well. Like I have used flexible tile adhesive to shape an enclosure. It was a Monitor Audio EMA 3s perhaps. I think it was 3s, EMA 3s. EMA 1s or EMA 3s. Anyway, the mid-range was a square, it was square, and I just shaped it into a sphere, which is supposedly the optimal, if you're going to have an enclosure around a speaker, the optimal reference for diminishing standing waves. You know, so yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Some of that's learned, so go what you feel, really. You know, if you go with what you feel, that's also, hey, it's pretty succulent. So that's it. That's my spiel on those. But the mission today was to repair the bass driver. So I'm really just going over this to illustrate. Same with this in the bass chamber. Hear that? That's pretty ideal. That's, you know, for a large enclosure, that is inertia as far as a level of resonance, whereas that is like a drum, okay, which effectively causes a drumming sound to come back, you know, mixed in with your beautiful sonic behaviours. In my opinion, well, that's actually what happens, you know, depending on the volume level, of course. If it's super low volume, may not be an issue. Dampening wise, again, it's just one of those slotted in there like that. Is that adequate enough? It's better than none, isn't it? I mean, they've done the supposed listening test, but if a cabinet is this, you know, there's still obviously some refinements you can make. So again, in this, I would most likely adhere a layer to this right around and behind the front baffle again to all of the panels in there, and I think that would be pretty well spot on. Obviously with a very thick layer of the liquid dampening compound that I've mentioned just before for the mid-range. Same deal with the bass enclosure, and remembering to do behind the front baffle as well. There you go, that's it for the Diamond 9.5s again. Oh, they are bi-wireable, so that's another thing to note, is to ditch those jumpers and use a bi-wire cable, or if you're just using a single run of wire to your positive and your negative, probably advisable to get rid of the jumpers anyway and just connect the two with bare wire between the two sets of terminals rather than jumpers. Hope that makes sense. Everything else on these is pretty cool. Obviously that crossover there, you know, you can get a nice upgrade too with, if you improved mainly the capacitor on the tweeter circuit. You know, because one of those on the bass driver is it's in parallel, so I don't, you know, that may not matter that much in terms of sonics, but the one that's in series in the tweeter circuit, yeah, it's worth an upgrade. Sonically, you'll get a lift in the treble, which affects the whole frequency range, so it'll improve sound across the board. That's about it. That gives you an elevated, quite a lot, you know, in all those subtle areas you'll get decent elevation of this speaker. And then just depending how you set it up and how you listen, you know, if you can tilt the speaker if need be, if that's important to you, to time align the arrival of these drivers, because that's the goal, that all these output from these drivers is coherent and reaches you at the same time. So the tweeter sound of the tweeter reaches you at the same time the bass source energy does. Right, so obviously the different frequencies, but the launch, you know, it's like someone speaking to you. They're not going to send their high frequencies in advance. It's all as one. So in my opinion, that's the goal there, get them all aligned, and you can do that by physically moving the speaker forward or back in terms of tilt, depending where your listening zone is, or whether it's a fixed zone, or if it's whole house. Well, you know, you go by how it loads the room sonically to judge. Yeah, there's a sort of a room energy that even sounds right when you've got a system set up properly. Well, you know, succinctly, just on the song sort of thing. So yeah, there we go. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Wharfedale, and anyone involved in the design over there. Wharfedale, you know, not long, they had a 100th anniversary recently. So, gosh, that's a lot of, guess, imagine how many speakers they've got out here. That's a lot of, that's a lot of things to be creating for people. So, yeah, thank you, Wharfedale. Awesome. Take care. And, yeah, get some sun, man. Enjoy the sun if you've got some today. Or if you're in a starry night. All good. Alrighty, take care.